Today, I wanted to talk about how you can make yourself truly valuable at the company you work for, maybe even indispensable. And why being indispensable in itself might not just be such a good thing. So first of all, you gotta ask yourself why. Why should you be valuable, even indispensable at a company? Really, that's a question for you to ask yourself. Because it really doesn't matter how you do it if you don't know why you do it. So be sure to consider that before you consider how to make that happen. Now, the main reason for most people would argue that this is to have more job security, i.e. reduce the risk of being laid off. And that's a perfectly valid reason. And of course, we all want job security, basically stability and predictability in our lives. But that shouldn't obviously be your only motivation for making yourself valuable, especially indispensable at a company. And I'll get to that in a second, but first let's look at how you can actually make yourself valuable and even indispensable at your company. So first of all, to start understanding how you become valuable at your company is to define what value is. And however obvious or stupidly simple that seems, most of us seems to ignore that idea when we think of how you can avoid being laid off. It's not complicated at all, in fact, but what that means is that you have to figure out what that value actually is at your company. And it's not just based on your role, because for example, as a software engineer, value is not simply as simple as delivering code or fixing or just fixing bugs. What matters is what code, which bugs, what product, which service, at what point in time, so on and so forth. So you need to start by, the best starting point to me is to look at what the company is spending most on, for example. You need to find the biggest pain points for the company. For example, if you're a software engineer and you work with a lot of different vendor services, third-party services for things like content management, payment systems, stuff like that, you can find out how much they pay for these different agreements they have based on, usage and setup or configuration. You can definitely find places where you can optimize and make a setup for example, a CMS much more cost-effective. Companies have so much old stuff lying around, old vendor products and services that they're using that nobody really knows why it exists and why it's so expensive. So you can look at all these old systems and old vendor products at the company is being slowed down by. You can also look at old backup solutions that have been set up 20 years ago that with some time investment can be rebuilt or exchanged with a more modern or even just a simpler and more effective setup. It can be projects or ideas that are floating around in conversations among team members, managers, or bosses about systems or solutions that could be much better. Being the person who takes responsibility over the things that nobody wants to take responsibility of or for, doing the things that nobody else wants to do, is what will make you really valuable at the company. As soon as people know that you are the person that does what needs to be done, regardless of what it is, people will want to work with you and have you in their projects. Because regardless of how many programmers and engineers there are out there, it is not common to find people who are willing to do what nobody else does. Kind of obvious. That, I think, can have the biggest impact on how valuable you are, or even indispensable you can be at the company. The next one will really help you though to find out what is important at the company, which is to ask the right questions. Now, of course, asking questions overall is a great thing. You should ask questions. There are no stupid questions. And the culture really is important to enable people to ask questions, sure. But you as an individual, you need to be able to ask questions and asking the right questions. And that's really about understanding the context. What is the goal we're trying to achieve? That's not always easy, which is why you're asking the questions from the beginning. That's what will make you so valuable, because not everybody in the project or in the product team or at the company at all will know every right question to ask, which is why you need to come in with your experience, your expertise, and the perspectives that you have and ask the questions that only you can think of. As you keep asking these questions in different contexts, helping you understand better the bigger picture and the goal or the purpose for example, a project or an initiative, you will also gain more experience and knowledge from that in itself. And you can begin to see patterns in the projects that you engage in, which will lead you to always thinking about the same things you learned in the past instances of older products or projects. For example, deploying a new storefront for your company. Have we thought about telemetry? What are the performance metrics we care about? And are they somehow tied to any KPIs or real business value? Can we measure the performance metric towards any costs or cost savings? So being truly valuable is also asking the right questions. But to become truly indispensable at a company, you need, I think, specific knowledge. And what I mean by specific knowledge, I mean being the person who knows more than anyone else about critical parts of the business. And it can be as little as being the one who knows one single system inside and out, but a system that is critical for the business operations. It's really simple, and you can probably understand why this might not be just a good thing. But it comes back to the question of value. What will make you indispensable is having so much value and having value that nobody else can provide. That's kind of the definition of it. That's simply what that means. Make yourself uniquely qualified and experienced, and it won't be easy, nor will they want to get rid of you, because you are literally an irreplaceable asset for them. You're the person they go to ask questions about the system they know is super important and provides crucial value for them as a business, and they now want to grow it maybe so that it provides even more value. If you've ever worked for a big company with a big IT architecture, you will have seen examples of these kinds of people, but whom you might have built up a distaste for because they've ended up in that position simply through their own day-to-day work over time. They've been at the company long enough to be the only people who knows how a particular system works because they are the only ones left who were there when they first built it. They have become one of the company's single points of failure, a huge vulnerability. And what do you think is more expensive for them in the short term? Replacing a critical part of their system and making sure that the new service is well documented and as stable as the old one, because they've learned so much over the years and implemented so small things, improvements and stuff that you can't even imagine knowing these things based on that experience. Do you think that's cheaper than simply just paying this guy or girl to sit there and have this knowledge? It's cheaper to keep them. This is obviously not a positive example. This is, though, the situation for countless companies out there, and it is a problem for the organization, obviously. And this is where the question of why comes in. You know, you have to understand why you want to be valuable, and then how you become valuable. And you can be the person with this specific knowledge while still having documented everything you know and trying to help spread the knowledge at the company. Because as I said, not everybody will want to be the person who does what nobody else does, and that's okay. That's where you can come in and be that person. You can still be that person who provides the value while documenting, while communicating everything, but not everybody will want to be the person who knows all of that. It's easier for them to come to you rather than learn themselves. We're laziest people, you know that. So you can be indispensable by acquiring specific knowledge and insight through asking the right questions and understanding what the business really values. And through that knowledge, insight, and understanding in combination with your skills, help them reach their goals and provide true business value. That in the end is an indispensable employee, at least to me. So these are my thoughts and experiences that I speak from, which I've collected over the years through work and also through self-study and practicing what I learned through books and courses. If you find that I forgot something, maybe an aspect or some details, feel free to share them below and your experiences in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.